Welcome back, students. Today, I wanted to talk with you all about the shift that's happened across the globe in mental health awareness, as well as the different ways countries have approached this over the past decade or two. There have been huge changes in the perception and narrative of mental health, both in the United States and abroad. These changes have had massive implications for well being, treatment, and the entire social landscape regarding this issue. So, how does this all make sense in the perspective of sociological theories? I'd like to talk about what has led to these changes, the approaches that have been used to accommodate these changes, and then why these changes might have been necessary in the first place. The conversation around mental health has slowly become a topic that people are willing to discuss. There are now plenty of people who have stepped up, held open conversations, and even demanded change for those in need. Movements like talking about end the stigma, hashtag end the stigma, have recently been created to openly advocate for those who may be too discouraged to seek help. A few decades ago, mental illness was not something that was openly discussed. There's now a great need to raise awareness of these issues as well as work towards changing the structure of society itself. The sociological theory of functionalism helps explain these changes through a societal need to adapt to new pressures. Mental health has created quite a challenge for society, especially among the younger generations who have grown up around social media or on the back of COVID-19. Functionalism helps to show how these shifts in mental health are a direct response to this issue growing to the point of no longer being able to ignore it. Meanwhile, conflict theory shares with us another important aspect of the sociological point of view, in which these shifts are caused through a fight over power, inequality, and an exacerbation of unfair advantages where the higher classes have unfair access to resources that the lower classes don't have. Some of these resources being mental health care, which has historically not been available to those in marginalized communities. This includes Black and Latino communities, for instance. This is where movements like Black Lives Matter start to gain such traction. There's a great need to have a response to racial injustice. And not only is that prevalent in these areas, but so is a issue with mental health. These conflicts and these initiatives and these movements have stemmed out of the mental health issues, which has created a willingness to finally look at society and think about mental health in the way that our social systems might be contributing to it. When we take a look at other countries, such as Japan, for instance, a place that is known for having strong stigmas around mental health, as well as a culture of working to burnout, working to complete exhaustion. Now, it has gotten much better, but the pressure that was being placed on Japanese citizens had caused suicide rates to skyrocket. Yet in the past 2 decades, there's been a major mental health awareness shift that has allowed this to curb itself. The larger systemic change that we see in America caused by this societal pressures is a little bit different in Japan, where it's caused by the symbolic interactions. Symbolic interaction theory is another theory of sociology that helps us to understand the interactions between people and the way that it shapes the meanings that we give things. Having people openly talk about mental health began to shift the public perception of mental health. There was a large movement towards suicide prevention through raising awareness of mental health as a public health issue. And then advocacy groups began to work alongside media efforts. This means that in addition to the government efforts, there was also media, corporate, and celebrity efforts as well. The more people began to openly share their story, the quicker this shift was able to happen. Now, when we're wondering what were the major factors that led to this both in America and Japan, you might be surprised to hear the answer. One of the main factors that has led to higher prevalence of mental health issues has also been the thing that has led to movements being possible. Social media has changed the game. When it comes to the ability to outreach, to have a campaign for celebrities to send their messages, for organizations to do outreach, social media has made it possible. And what's also important to note is that COVID-19 really shined a light on the importance of mental health. We began to see depression, anxiety, and stress levels skyrocket as people were isolated and disconnected. The social institutions that helped to make this change possible included everything from healthcare to the media to government. A good example would be the Affordable Care Act, which made mental health care more possible. People could finally access it. Institutions such as the National Alliance of Mental Health have been consistently advocates for change. The power of the social institutions cannot be denied or overlooked. It is one of the major reasons that Japan was able to make this shift possible. In both Japan and the US, a shift in the narrative around mental health was far overdue and caused problems for years before ever getting to the point of having to address it. While this shift has now happened today, it was years in the making. There was advocacy efforts, awareness, social movements, and cultural attitude changes. The changes that have been possible show how sociological theories can help us to understand the various ways in which society responds to an issue such as the mental health crisis. And it also shines a light on the importance of integrating efforts from both the public and social institutions. The healthcare, the media, the government, and policies all must come together to really affect a narrative shift that can drive social change. I hope you've all enjoyed watching this. I hope it's provided you some value, some insight, some basics around sociological theory, and the ways in which mental health awareness has shifted over the past decade or two. Y'all take care. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to reach out.